Test, test.
Me, mo, mo, me, mo, mo, mo.
Test. Ah.
Yeah! Woo! How you doing, Rodney? You feeling good?
Feeling dangerous.
Yeah, I'm drinking this week, so I'm back on the game. You know that.
Look, he's also drinking. Hey, enough.
Chill
Enough
the
with the
fuck
water.
out, dog. Jesus.
He just drinks until he pisses all over the house every day.
Man. Dogs. I don't know how you do it. Well, guess what's in the news? Balls are back in the news, man. Your favorite subject, Rodney. I know that you love balls.
Tom Brady's balls?
Tom Brady's balls, even better, if I have to say so myself.
No.
He's so dreamy, that Tom Brady. But what the fuck? Deflategate was all over the news this morning.
I don't give two shits.
But everyone else does. And
Come on, get over
the
it.
whole news cycle this morning was Deflategate is back. Strip him of the Super Bowl.
Monitor his balls closer?
Yeah, monitor the balls closer. I think that's what we're going to get. All balls will be monitored very closely.
They have to check their balls.
It's going to be written.
for every game, but someone will misread it one day, and I'm like, I need to see your balls.
Some really clueless ref.
This is when we lose most of the listeners.
Well, that's why we go right away. We go off track right away. So who really wants to sit through this? Because this is all you're getting, folks. This is the best we can do. But hey, big news this week for me. Being a Bernie Sanders fan, he actually raised $3 million in the first week of his campaign, and I'm all excited because hey, that's a pretty big amount of money. But
is it when you're talking about a campaign that takes what are they saying? How many billion? I mean, well over $1 billion. I think is going to be needed to win.
$1 billion eventually, but $3 million to start in a week. How many weeks does he have left?
It's like all of his favorite rich friends are like, oh, okay,
here you go, Bernie.
We're in.
Here's a little thing for you, and then he'll quickly fade away. Hopefully not.
Hillary's going to pull out her big shiny cock and just swipe his $3
You
million
can't
off the
say
table.
that. She is not a man. Why does every powerful woman have to be a man, Rodney?
No, she doesn't have to be a man. It's just, I was just joking around.
Yeah, I brought you down too hard, too quick.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Rodney's like, hey man, I'm just chilling.
I understand she's a chick.
Yeah.
But she's kind of a cunt.
Don't hold back.
She doesn't seem like a cool person to me.
Well,
There seem
speaking
like
of
so many better women in the world that I'd rather lead us than her.
what, Sarah Palin? You want Sarah Palin?
No, she's awful too.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page on that at least. Another liberal champion, you're talking about Clinton. I don't think we talked about this last week. Mr. Soros, he owes probably about $7 billion in back taxes now.
I think I mentioned it last week.
I don't know if you did or
Did
if
you
you
edit
did.
it out?
I might have edited it out. I might have been like, no one
I
got to
want
hear
to
this.
I want to bring that up.
We were just talking about the media last week, and here I am editing all the good information out.
Or maybe I talked about that before we.
I think that was before, and it was so disjointed it couldn't be a hiccup. That's why I brought it up now.
Yeah.
Sometimes our hiccuping is like us
Ranting
and not making sense, and then we have one good
I
point.
feel like that's most of the show.
That's the sad thing. Most of the good stuff, quote unquote, gets into the show, but the hiccups, sometimes we have a minute or two of clarity where it's like, oh, we should put that in somewhere. So, yeah. $7 billion in back taxes. I mean, if every billionaire or trillionaire or however much money he has is avoiding paying their taxes, you think that would add up after a while and help a little bit with our economic crisis, if you will, or at least pay some of our debt down or something like that.
It's pretty sad.
What I didn't like is that he's always championing, oh, you should tax the rich more, but then he's the one like, oh, but not me. Just don't tax me more.
But I got these loopholes that I like to use.
My loopholes are cool because I am liberal, but yours.
Yours, you fucking conservatives. You rich assholes. Wait,
you're a rich
also
asshole too. Hey, I see your game.
And then they're both like, it's working. They're distracted. They think they have a choice.
Son of a bitch. Well, in the article that I was referencing, a gentleman brought up a point that the top 400 people in the world, or richest 400 in the world,
All have tiny cocks.
probably have
Or-
tiny cocks.
Or if there's some women in there, they don't have cocks. They have very nice vaginas. So
that's nice of you to say. That's
or
very
whatever
nice
they
of you.
want to have, it's very nice. The
Well,
women.
what they do have is $2.25 trillion, which is apparently more than 130 countries.
2.5 trillion.
Yeah,
With a T?
Their GDP. So, of those countries' GDPs.
I got
I
you.
said that backwards.
That made sense.
Okay, good.
It's still, we can
So-
connect the dots.
Good.
You put it out there enough where I was like,
I'm reaching for it. There it is.
I see it now.
There it is. So, that's another depressing state that we're in. Speaking of banks,
Do you have any good news?
I don't have any good news yet. Deflategate was kind of good news, right?
I have some good news.
Oh,
The
okay.
weather's gotten nicer out.
Thank you. Thank you. See, I can't even see the forest from the trees.
Yeah, you could, because you mentioned that right when you got here.
That's
And
true.
I'm so glad it's nice out.
I was in a good mood. I'm in a good mood because it's nice out and I can go outside every evening and just like sit on the porch and bask in the glory that is May.
You just like watching young women run by your front of your house, don't you?
Keep jogging. Yeah. I say that. I don't know why I say that. It
You
just
just get
comes
up
out.
Oh.
I stand up and just touch my belly button. It's just like, yeah. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. My belly button is full of lint.
Here's the thing about
Here's the thing
about belly button.
about belly button lint. Where is this going?
So I always had an outie belly button.
Oh.
Ever since I was little, and then I Lynchhim, and then I
Witch!
it got worse. I got like a hernia,
That sounds awful.
an umbilical herniation. So I had a really bad outie. It was like I had a big bubble coming out. It wasn't that bad, like not nearly as bad. If you Google image it, it wasn't anything like what you'll find there. But
Good.
it was enough of a nuisance where it seemed like I should get it fixed.
Mhm.
So then I got it fixed, and now I have an innie, and I wasn't used to the fact that you have to clean it, like you have to go in there, like because before it was just like there, so like there was nothing that would ever. And I remember the one time I was like, I looked in there, I was like, because now it's like I have an innie, like
Yeah,
it was
you gotta
not
get
an
used
innie
to it.
before. It was like out, you know, it was like flat kind of with my.
Okay.
And it was pretty gross when I was like, oh, I gotta take care of that. it's like you're like, look at your belly button.
That's what happens to that down there. How does that compare to Bruce Jenner? I feel like that's where you're going with that.
Bruce
Having
Jenner's
an out
vagina.
to an innie. Is that awful for you to say?
Oh no, I don't think women are supposed to like clean the, like I think you're supposed to clean the outside of the vagina, but not. I don't think you're supposed to douche or anything like that.
I don't
think
think
that's
even
healthy.
going that far, but
But that's when you have like a real vagina that has like the system to take care of itself and like,
Right.
clean itself. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they can build that in with his. So like he might have like some sort of special. Yeah, he'll have to douche.
That's such a weird thing. I don't want to be insensitive to transgender people, but it's just one of those things where when he did it, it seemed a little bit, because he's in the public eye, it just seemed a little less, I don't know, it seemed not staged. Maybe, I'm sure he really has those problems, but there's something about it that seemed inorganic to me, and I'm just like, okay.
But I think what's gross is just it's being so televised and everything, and I'm sure there's lots of money behind it. And regardless
That's what
of
I
what
don't
he
like.
feels, it's like, but I guess like maybe transgender people like it because it's drawing attention. I don't know. I just don't give a shit. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. I'm happy for him. Like,
Right.
yeah, do your thing. But I feel like it's a little weird, like how there's like a 2-hour special about it because it's kind of like.
I think that's kind of a good thing to talk about. You can not give a shit. I think it's one thing to like hate people and be like, you shouldn't be that way, or like be behind them. But then I think you're allowed to just be like, I don't give a shit, do what you want. Like I don't care,
Yeah,
just
good for you.
go over there.
I mean, and I guess it's stupid to even care if it's on TV because I just didn't watch it. I was just
Right.
like,
I didn't really watch it either, but again, when it was in the news cycle when Baltimore was
It's a
burning.
little strange, yeah.
It's
That's
like,
even in the news.
Yeah.
Because it almost seems like it should be a thing where no one should give a fuck. Just let him do his thing, and it should be everyone should just be like, oh, okay,
Yeah, that's
You know what I
what's
mean?
happening. Yeah,
yeah, all right, go.
cool, man. Do
Still-
your thing.
It'd be really interesting. It's like he's turning himself into a chicken.
That I'd have to see. Getting
like,
the feather
he's just
implants.
He's just like, they're like, we're taking off his legs now and replacing with these little twig legs. It's like, oh.
And the twig legs don't work.
Yeah.
We have discovered
Like on his side.
the experiment has failed. There will be no Birdman.
Birdman has died.
He is dead now.
He's just his body's in two, so they have
All right, coming up
two
next.
caskets.
Deflategate,
I guess
too.
that's bad that we're comparing
I guess that is bad.
transgender person's journey to turning
We're
themselves
doing
into a
that
chicken.
whole thing that people do about gay marriage where they say, oh, next people are going to marry their dogs. That's where we're not trying to go.
I don't. That's even dumber that people care about who you marry. Who cares if someone wants to marry their dog and the dog seems happy and the dog seems well taken care of? I don't support bestiality, but I almost feel like it's like.
Rodney says, fuck your dog.
It's like, I don't really give a shit. If the dog's not being abused, I guess it's kind of abusing.
I think it's kind of abusing the dog.
What if the dog's like sitting down on the person, or if if the dog's like licking the person?
Rodney has fucked a dog, everybody.
I've not fucked a dog. I'm just saying if the dog seems to like it.
And do you put peanut butter in your balls and let the dog lick it? Is that where we're going?
I don't. I'm just saying. I don't know. I really don't care what other people do. If it's not hurting anything.
If it's not hurting anything, but let's take a hard turn to
Is it actual news?
to the right or the left. I don't know where this is. Let's talk about Israel real quick. I think we both shared some disgust. I don't know what that was.
It's an Israeli war cry.
I don't think it was Israel. Maybe it was. I don't know.
I don't know what the war cry is.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like they're killing lots of people. I knew where you were going. So
Yeah, it's more like kaboom. But apparently they're just, open season on whoever's walking in, what's that area again? It's just
Gaza.
Gaza. You can shoot civilians, is the report.
Palestinians. If they're Palestinians.
You can shoot. Yeah, so they're just apparently opening fire on civilians and Palestinians. Kind of just in a blanket statement, if you come in this area, it's your own fault, almost. That's how I interpret it.
As long as you're protecting yourself and you can at least suggest that you're protecting yourself, we don't care who you kill.
And, Israel's a complicated subject, and I don't know how much we talked about it before, but it's like,
I don't understand.
guys, we want to be on your side, but these are what we call war crimes, right? You can't
If that stuff's accurate, if some of those reports are accurate and the soldiers are telling the truth, it definitely seems pretty creepy.
Yeah, and then you bring up the thing about, or I bring up the thing about war crimes, and then I read that the U.S. might have been selling cluster bombs to, what was it, the Saudis over there, the Saudi and Yemen. That's what's
Saudi
going on.
Arabia. Saudi Arabia's been bombing Yemen. Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole international committee says you can't use cluster bombs. Everyone's like, just don't do it. We all agree that it's a war crime if you use them. And then it's starting to look like we've been selling them through this kind of little caveat or legal loophole that says we're not going to export any of these bombs except for these type. And it's just like, it doesn't look good for us.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I was reading about like that whole Saudi Yemen conflict. I guess it's the Sunnis in Saudi Arabia that don't like the Shiite in Yemen, right? That they say are Al Qaeda.
Right.
And I was reading this one article. I should know where I read it, but it was talking about how we've been conducting drone strikes there.
Oh yeah.
For a
the
while.
Thing was...
And kind of indiscriminately, we're killing a lot of civilians, apparently. We're really taking out a lot of innocent people. And the president who was ousted recently, that kind of started this whole, that was really the catalyst that started the destabilization of Yemen in whole,
Yeah.
was basically supporting this or allowing it, and was not really saying much in regard to how many civilians were being killed in his own country and pushing back against the United States doing this, and like maybe they need to use other tactics to find Al Qaeda or whatever.
Yeah.
And some of that was what led to the destabilization. And now, but I don't know if that's true. But then looking at Saudi Arabia, them bombing them, it's just like that whole Sunni Shia, and the fact that there's evidence which leads some of the funding of like 9/11 to Saudi Arabia, and yet we still give them weapons and fund them. And not even just like random rich people, like possibly the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had to do with some of the funding and the people that were involved with that. And you think about that and the implications that are involved there in terms of our foreign policy and what's happened in the last few years, and it just...
Well, I mean, the foreign policy is, we're not allowed to see the whole picture. It's complicated, right? You know, like...
Is it though? I feel like they try to make it overcomplicated just because if you really think of, if like you connect those dots, it just seems so fucked up. You're like, who the fuck is in charge here?
You brought up something that I just looked up as you were talking, so I didn't try to zone out, but I watch RT News occasionally. I don't trust it completely, but I know I get different information from it.
You like the Russians?
I like the Ruskies. I'm a
Why
communist.
don't you go drink on vodka and
I hate the vodka.
Vodka Wi-Fi.
Vodka Wi-Fi.
Vodka Wi-Fi.
You silence when I talk.
We do deep squats and drink vodka.
But the one thing they do that I don't see, maybe I'm just not paying attention, is they're showing how many people were actually been like killed over there recently, and how many airstrikes. 1,244 people were killed since Saudi began its campaign. And since we are tied to it, it's like you got to feel a little bit dirty being attached to it. That's a big number. And then you're talking about Israel too. Ever since last summer, there's been
How many
tens of thousands of people killed there too. You're just like, Jesus Christ.
How many people have been killed in Iraq? 200,000, and I think they've 2 million displaced because of the destabilization and the rise of ISIS, which is a direct consequence of our failed foreign policy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where ISIS came from, right? I mean,
that pretty much got them a little more organized, I think. You know, I mean, they got scrambled, and then when they came back, you know, they're like, oh fuck.
well, yeah, because I mean, wasn't it? I get the everything mixed up over there, but Saddam Hussein, he was a
Google it.
Google that shit, Derek. Rodney said, Google it. They're wealthier.
Rapid pace. Positions of power in the country were mostly filled with Sunnis, a minority that made up only a fifth of the population.
Oh, so I had it backwards. So he was more with the Sunnis, and the Shia were the majority. Is
Yeah.
that it? That's right, because then after he got overthrown, the Shia took over power, and they kind of pushed the Sunnis out, which really destabilized things. And those Sunnis are what made up ISIS and moved into Syria. And that's, yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm fucking mixing things up. It's hard to keep it
That's, yeah, I mean, I think everyone
See,
like us doesn't know that story that well. So
well, it's hard. And then, I mean, because ISIS is predominantly Sunni, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also Shia, and there's also Sunni that don't like ISIS and don't support it as the caliphate.
And
then you have Serbia. And you have the Serbian rebels.
Now that you say that, it's so complicated and it's religiously based. I'm just like, what if like all the, you know, there's like thousands of Christian denominations. What if they were warring like this with each other?
Well, they did, but we kind of got past that. Like this,
we got past. That's a good point.
I mean, there was lots of war in Christian.
That's a good point.
I mean, that was.
But I kind of just bring it up to mention, like, to try to bring it home to our listeners. It's like, just imagine this was happening in our country with Christians instead of Sunni and Shiite. Like if it was Baptist versus Lutheran or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why when people just say they're Muslims,
Yeah.
you're like, it's a little more complicated than that. It's like all Muslims are terrorists. It's like, no, they're not. It's how the way the media has not educated. I mean, I think we need to, if we all got more educated on that subject, it'd be a lot easier to discuss it.
Yeah.
But the media is not educated. I feel like it almost confuses us more the way the media generalizes things.
Well, there's part of us that knows that when you start explaining that, people are like, I don't understand, and they flip the channel. So it's just like, we'll make it easy for you. All the bad, terrible Islam folk. But we do have to talk about what happened in Texas.
Texas, Lone Ranger said he'll protect you every day. The Lone Ranger said he'll shoot them black helicopters down if they come over the border today.
You know, Jade Helm actually got some mainstream play over the last week. It got criticized deeply.
I saw it. That's where I wasn't like joking about that. I saw some of his quotes, and I was like, okay.
It was kind of
come to my ranch, try to see what's up.
I was like, okay, because last week we were playing around with the idea, and my head kind of wanders. I'm like, what is going on? And then I hear the really crazy people are like, I'm ready to shoot whoever comes on my property. I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
Well, then what ISIS tried to claim,
the other thing that happened,
the Muslim the Muhammad drawing contest.
Yeah,
the Prophet Muhammad.
I know we talked about this with that movie that came out when we first started, The Dictator or whatever. You know, the comedy that North Korea wanted to stop.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it's called right now. But we're all like, free speech, whatever, fuck them, do what you want. But with this, and we talked about, what was it? Je suis Charlie Hebdo.
Charlie Hebdo.
And at that time, too, I was just like, this sucks, they're attacking free speech. But when I see this happen down in Texas, I'm just like, you're kind of being assholes. I didn't want people to get shot. Of course, no one gets shot. But the group doing it was kind of like being dickish. I don't want anybody to get shot. But I don't want to absolve them from being there's two things going on here. Terrorists suck, and those people kind of suck for like hating on Islam as they did.
I'm totally about people being able to be dicks though, and not getting shot for it. So I don't even like thinking about that because that like almost justifies. I feel like
that's why I feel dirty saying it. It's like fuck, they're being dicks, but they're allowed to be dicks, and I don't want anybody to get shot. And fuck the guys who shot people.
Especially when they were drawing cartoons.
That's true.
You think about it. It was like, I could see if they were burning, what's a religious symbol for the Muslim religion. Like, I don't know, if they were burning Qurans and doing something really like, kind of fucked up, like it was a giant pile of Qurans burning in a pile. Yeah. And like, that's a little more like hateful. And the cartoons, I'm sure some of them were kind of satirical and maybe you could say they're hateful, but it's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with people that they got fucked up, they got killed.
Yeah.
They shot the shit out of them, I'm sure.
The thing is,
do you think they recognized the bodies? Could you imagine going to that rally? Because they apparently had a ton of off-duty police officers working security for the event. And like a lot of people in Texas just carry. It's like a gun culture. It's pretty big down there. Can you imagine how many bullets were fired into that like car or into their bodies?
They were taken care of.
It's probably like there's just this goo in the seats.
It's my god, Bonnie and Clyde style.
It was basically a suicide mission.
Oh my god.
Like, what's wrong with you that you think it's worth? It's like, oh, you better not draw those cartoons. I'm gonna go fucking die today.
Yeah, I don't get it. But then there's the other side of it. Where, yes, have free speech, but like pick your battle. Like I don't want to die over a cartoon. It's like if I know I'm gonna like walk to my left and there's like a saw blade swinging from the ceiling, I'm not gonna walk to the left. But then again, free speech, you want to be able to walk to the left. There shouldn't be that saw blade there.
Right, because how much further is that saw blade gonna keep coming over if you? I don't know. It's
But,
Well, the scary thing was when they said they're like, oh, we're in 17 states and we have so many people ready to do similar things. It's just like, come on now, guys, let's keep it calm. Because that would not be good.
No.
If there are a lot of those started to happen, I think that police state thing would happen pretty quickly. It would get weird.
It did scare me this week. I was in Strawberry Square eating my lunch. And, it's in the Capitol, right next to the Capitol. And I'm just thinking, what if someone walked in here with like a fucking AK-47 and just took out 30 people before someone... Like, that could legitimately happen. And I've been thinking about that because, the terrorist things that happen lately. And it does, the terrorism is working, is, I guess, my point. You start living in fear a little bit. Not that I'm, like, paranoid, but you think about it.
You sound paranoid.
Well, you gotta...
Oh, my God, if someone comes in here, you have a better chance of being shot with an AK-47 where you sit right now than you did when you were in the Capitol.
Well...
True.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying
Rodney's got an AK-47.
No, I don't have an AK-47. I'm saying that the neighborhood that we're in right now is not necessarily a safe place. It's rated worse than Baltimore.
Oh boy!
And you saw what was going on in Baltimore. Huh?
Amen. Shit's gonna hit the fan. Maybe.
I hope it doesn't hit the fan in this little town.
No, this little town wouldn't survive.
Well, I wouldn't survive. I'd have to get out of here quick. I'd be like, dogs, get in the truck. We're going. Go ahead.
People would just abandon this town like it was.
Well, there were the race riots back in the '60s, though.
Detroit, that's true. They survived it then.
This was like a hot spot.
I feel like the '60s were a more economic promising time for the city, though. Maybe not, though. I don't know.
If they
just kind of a sad silence.
Yeah, we're just like,
oh.
If they legalized heroin, they'd probably be doing better down here.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's even sadder.
What else is new? I saw puppy videos.
The puppy?
I saw puppy videos. They made me happy.
Oh, were the puppies being like dropped into pots and hot water in China live?
They were being pet shamed though. I like those.
I know what we should talk about.
What's next?
I know what we should talk about. the Reddit headlines.
Yeah. What do you got, Rodney? I read a few, but I didn't see anything.
London's going to start DNA testing dog shit to find out the owners who aren't picking up after their pets.
How does that work? You can DNA dog shit?
Apparently you can. I'm sure it costs a lot of fucking money.
It sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah, but apparently...
Does that mean your dog has to submit its DNA sample to the city? So they can match it up?
I would assume so.
Unless they just start knocking on your door like, your dog's shit in the lawn, we're coming for you.
They are starting a new bureau of dog shit.
Well, things must be going well.
The BDS.
Things must be going well if that's what they're worried about now. If dog shit has become a priority, maybe things are going all right in England.
I didn't read this article, but I just like the headline. If con is the opposite of pro, is Congress the opposite of progress?
Progress. I've heard that one before, and I've always liked it.
Men should be able to veto abortion. Fox News host gripes that women want all the control.
I saw that article, and that's kind of interesting to talk about.
Is it interesting?
No. But it's a thing that exists. That's what somebody said that on television.
They did on Fox News, unfortunately.
Fox News.
Some things on Fox News I liked, but not that one.
I think I'm borrowing from Lewis Black. It's like, that came out of your mouth. You realize you said that to another human being?
The only place I ever would understand is like if you're in a marriage and a relationship and one guy wants to have a baby and you get pregnant and it's like a late turn, like you're pregnant, like it's not like it was like that first month or what, because I don't even know how I feel when you're in a good spot to have a baby and you abort it.
Right.
Like, because the whole thing is like...
I thought this would be a good topic for us one week, but I wasn't ready to do it this week.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to do it this week. But it's pretty crazy that someone say women want all the control. It's like it's their body; they have so much more.
They're carrying the baby.
If it's gonna kill them, like what about that? It's like I want the border.
Jesus. I mean, if you're in a committed relationship, I think it's a good idea to have a conversation about it. But as far as like the rights go.
I don't like when people are stable enough to have them, and it's like, I think that's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, not that abortion isn't kind of creepy regardless, because it's like, oh, you are kind of, but if it's really early, I'm kind of like, it's not really a person yet. It's a couple cells. Like, yes, it's on its way, but I almost feel like it's
a touchy subject, and I feel
we could go into this in detail.
I could go. Well, yeah. It's not much to say because I feel like we both probably feel the same way because we're men. I feel like it's such a...
I leave it up to the woman.
The woman is, like you said, it's her body and it's her deal. I don't like the idea of... This is going to make me sound very conservative, which is weird because I always vote liberal. I don't like the idea of abortion as birth control.
No, that seems weird.
I'm like, if...
You should be taking...
I feel like there's other ways to stop pregnancy.
Right.
And abortions are so icky. There's no other word for it. It's just like, yeah... But I understand there's other circumstances.
Yeah, use contraception.
Yeah.
Contraceptives.
When people have issues.
Speaking of which.
Yeah. Let's get off this topic.
We're staying on this topic. Okay. Speaking of sex, you're going to love this one. Abstinence-only Texas high school hit by chlamydia outbreak.
That made me laugh.
Estimated 1 in 15 students has chlamydia.
Here's what you gotta do.
Conservative school.
You tell everyone not to fuck, and then they fuck like rabbits.
They have to send home letters, apparently, to the parents because it's so bad. Asking them to talk to their kids about abstinence and not fucking. Because they're all getting chlamydia. Because they're all scratching their crotches like,
I guess, is everyone just going to the nurse's office and be like, my thing itches? Is that how they find that out?
I'm thinking.
I guess so. They're afraid to go to their parents, I guess, or something.
Well, I would assume that, if you're in a school and it's like, oh, Johnny slept with Sarah, and now Sarah has chlamydia, and then chlamydia, and she goes and tells someone, eventually it's going to get around, eventually someone there's going to be like, Sarah, please report to the nurse. There's a rumor going around that you might have chlamydia. Is it true? And then they talk to Johnny and they're like, I also slept with Becky. And then Becky's like, and I slept with Billy. And
no, Billy's got it.
And Billy slept with Tina. And
oh my God.
And then,
kids these days, I don't know.
Yeah,
getting the chlamydia.
They all got that.
No, it's got to clap.
Gonorrhea? I
I
thought.
think gonorrhea is a clap.
Oh,
Although it
gonorrhea
makes
is
more
a clap?
sense of chlamydia because it's CH.
Yeah. Just
don't
make
know.
it clap. Either way.
Either way,
Chlamydia.
birth control and STD control. STDs scare me. I never want to have one, but who knows what will be in the future.
No, I don't think any diseases are really ideal.
Diseases aren't cool.
I'm really not good with the STDs.
I really don't want my jug to get itchy.
I'd rather just, get something like skin cancer.
I can deal with skin cancer. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
But we do favor our private parts. So it's just like when that goes wrong, it just sucks, man.
I don't know.
Like when people get old and shit hurts to pee, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't know, man. It's just part of life.
That's true.
I don't know. I think you just gotta roll with it. It's kind of like, all right, this is my new situation.
This is how it rolls now.
My dick doesn't get hard. It hurts to pee. It like spurts out funny. It's hard to poop. I can barely walk.
Damn it.
I have to take like 8 Advil before I get out of bed.
Oh Jesus.
I'm
I'm gonna die young just so I can avoid all that.
gonna go lay down the train tracks right now.
No, I'm going for the heart attack.
Yeah, speaking
Whiskey and cheeseburgers.
that might not be a bad idea because it seems like our economy might be about to have a heart attack.
Oh, you're right. I think I know where you're going with this. But lead us there. A wise one.
I don't know where I'm going, but the more you read about our deficit, you read about where the stock market is and where that's trending. You look at where equity markets are. You look at
Equity market.
just
Please enlighten us as to what that means.
look at where futures in gasoline. Look at futures in commodities are. There's lots of shaky evidence out there, which you're kind of like. I want to like hold my balls really close to my body, and be like, oh God, I hope everything's gonna be okay, and I think everything will be okay, dear Lord, save me, please.
You would hope, but indicators are not strong right now. There's a lot
Well,
of.
it depends on who you talk to, because a lot of talking heads are trying to make it seem like everything's rosy, which is weird.
When I go back and watch documentaries back on the 2008 crisis, it's kind of the same thing that's going on now. People's like, everything's fine, everything's cool, and then 1 October, everyone's like, yeah, we were lying about that.
They don't even say that though.
Yeah.
A lot of people never come clean.
No, and there's like 2 or 3
Because
people
if they actually
before
would
the
have come
2008
clean,
crash.
people would have gone to jail.
Well, that's true too. But there's like people before the 2008 crash that were kind of blowing the whistle. And you see a little bit of that going on now too. And it's about the same percentage where it's just like, but there's always that percentage of people just saying, oh, the sky is falling. I think that turns people off. But I do think
People are
there's,
like, shut up. Don't be
well,
honest.
there's people
We don't like
that
reality.
say, shut up, we're making a lot of money. And then there's people that are just like, oh, that guy's crazy. And then there's people with facts. And I feel like the people with facts are the ones that get lost in this whole bullshit news cycle we have. And just people saying, shut up, we want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about the trade deficit being like what, 61 or is it 51.4 billion dollars?
It's up. It's $10 billion more than what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's never a good sign.
And they said that's under where it would have been if they didn't have the shipping complications on the West Coast where they had those ports shutting down.
Yeah.
So
So
it
they
would have
even
been even worse.
Put that in the whole calculation. And it worries you because it's like, why are we importing so much? I guess everything's cheaper, but I always feel like, shouldn't we be making more stuff here, or shouldn't we be taking care of our own, kind of, in a way?
You'd hope so. I mean, bringing manufacturing back, but that's the thing. Like everyone's cheering on the strong dollar, but part of the reason why you have that trade deficit ballooning the way it is because the result of having a strong dollar is that your exports are a lot more expensive and imports are cheaper. So naturally, you're going to import more because the dollar's
I guess that's why I'm
stronger.
forgetting. Yeah, we want to export too. I'm just thinking like cut off the imports and then.
Yeah, that's
But that
kinda,
still won't-
kind of someone else is going to bite you back.
Yeah. I was discussing with Rodney before the show. It's like, I need to learn more about this, but I know it's a problem. And then I also expressed that I wanted revolutions in countries where labor is too cheap because I feel like there's human rights violations going on and stuff like that. So I wish for revolutions in other countries because I don't think taxing imports is good economically from my for some reason, from my history classes or whatever, I just feel like it hasn't worked, but I can't remember why.
Yeah, life's so complicated. Life is complicated.
We're complicating your life on Whiskey and Wi-Fi.
We have all the answers.
Just listen to us during the apocalypse. Wait, I didn't even say that right.
I like the way you said that.
Tried to rhyme it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely interesting. And then, because I don't understand how all of this works. Because they talk about our debt and our deficit and all those things, and then that like China owns a bunch of our debt, so we owe them a bunch of money. But then they make a lot of the shit that we buy, so they want us to keep buying the cheap shit that they make. And you're like, how does this all play out?
It doesn't work.
How does it all play out?
It doesn't make any sense. China's buying their own crap through us. I don't know. What would happen? Just as a, let's go down this rabbit hole. What would happen if the dollar collapsed? Just provocatively. We don't have to put this in the show, but like.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I just asked because I'm like, he might have some insight on like how that would react.
I mean, if the
like,
dollar.
what would become the next dollar? The yen? Not the yen.
Yuan.
Yeah, the yuan. Would that take it? Or Russia or the euro?
Who knows, man? It would. I think if you saw the dollar collapse, you'd see a major world war happen pretty quickly.
It feels that way, but that's crazy talk, Rodney.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. There already is a currency war basically going on right now. That anytime a country prints a bunch of money, it totally distorts the market.
You said something earlier before the show that I thought was vital about we're basically giving out money at negative interest rate because of inflation right now.
I mean, that's the thing that's scary. So when you had the collapse of 2008, you didn't have 0% interest rates at that time. We had room to go, right? Mm-hmm. So like the markets collapsed. We didn't know what the fuck to do, so we created a bunch of money out of fucking thin air and basically loaned it out at 0% interest to try to just hedge everything up. And we've been doing that pretty much ever since.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't turned that up a little bit.
Well, you look at that and you see how soft it is. So we have what they're saying, maybe a 2% in growth in GDP, and a lot of people are saying that that's inflated, and it's probably less than 1%. If even if it's at 0.8%, that would probably be generous. So then, when you consider that we do have a few percentage points at least in inflation, I mean at least, and we can go into that rabbit hole too. That with 0% interest compounded with inflation, or that might not be the right word to use, but that we basically are losing money on what we're lending.
Yeah. It seems not, well, it doesn't seem, if that's the case, it is bad.
Well, it seems bad, but then there's also the fact that, I mean, this isn't the first time that that's happened.
Oh, really?
I think that happened back in like the 60s or 70s, sometime, or it might be a little 50s, 60s, sometime earlier in our history that happened as well, and we borrowed a lot and helped us reduce our deficit.
Okay. I don't see it.
I don't know.
Rodney is
I don't know exactly
a bank of information.
I'm not a bank of information. I don't know exactly even how that works. It's like, does that make sense? You can borrow a bunch of money, but it's at negative interest, so then I guess it means you owe less money.
Right. That's how I see it.
But then, like, who's lending you the money? Like, who's the fuck's taking that deal? It's like, oh, you're also the bank, and you're like, well, this makes no sense at all.
It's funny because the first economics class I took in college, which is like explaining the concept of money, and what they expressed is like, money only works if people believe in it. Which I don't want to say people should not believe in money because we need a money system, but you just talk about what you just talked about, and it's kind of getting to the point where I'm like, people aren't going to value money anymore if it doesn't make any sense, you know?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I've been thinking about that a lot, of like the concept of money and what it really stands for, because you really think about it, is like people need certain things, right? You need a certain number of units of food, you need a certain number of units of clothing, you need a certain number of units of shelter, you need a certain number of units of like heat, cool, like all those things. If you use a unit, and he broke it down of like how much we really need as a country, like to take care of ourselves, and it's like, I don't know, the whole money thing gets really slippery then, especially when then you consider the banking system and what it really does is because the creation of money. So you have money, right?
Right.
And then even when you create money, when a bank creates money and then they charge you interest for borrowing that money, like that interest is technically, where's that interest come from? Those interest payments, where's that So you create money that you loan out, but you're basically creating a system where you can never pay off all the debt because that you have interest on top of all the money you created, which you loaned out. So there's never enough money to pay off all the debt and the interest. You can never pay it all off with the juice because you never create like. So you're always creating this indebtedness, like and it keeps perpetuating itself, and it's getting worse and worse. You see people taking more and more debt. All these countries are taking more and more debt, and you see it just getting worse and worse and worse because you can never pay it off. So like, how do you solve that problem? And it's like, everyone needs things. People are going to keep working. So like, how do we reset this system? I
don't know. But how's Greece doing?
They're fucked.
Yeah. We talked about them a few months ago. I don't think anything's gotten better.
No, I mean, I think they fired their finance minister. I think they canned him, and they're like, okay, we're going to pump the brakes. We will play nice with the IMF and the EU.
Did I read something lately where it wasn't like Russia, South Africa, they were creating their own like international fund.
I mean, there's China, Russia, and several other countries, even countries in Europe, have joined a fund that is trying to compete with basically the dollar in terms of reserve currency.
Yeah,
I forget
like
what
a
it's
reserve
called.
Yep, fund.
Yeah, it's relatively small right now, but it's
like
definitely
$100 billion.
But it still, as it picks up momentum, it could shift things really quickly. The other thing that's interesting is a lot of countries are starting to do different trade deals, which are for goods to circumvent the dollar. So they'll be like, oil for corn. That's not what they're doing, but like,
for instance.
Yeah, or oil for weapons, or natural gas for, whatever.
Oh Jesus.
So.
Oh man, it makes your head spin. That's for sure. But
yeah,
it's even like, I get to the point where like if people, it would take a lot to change that kind of system. Like even if like 5% of the population blew the whistle.
If it collapses.
Well, I mean, that's my point. Like if we did it now, like 5% of the U.S. population is like waving the flags, like we need to stop this. I don't think it'd be able to stop it. Like I almost feel like we've passed the point of no return, just because there's too many things in motion. And the weight is too off sides, like the scales of balance are like too far to the left or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to know like how this thing unfolds at all. If I did,
that's true.
I'd be like invested somewhere where I'd probably be like, yeah, in a few months I'm gonna be fucking rich when this motherfucker blows up.
I feel like we're doomsdayers now, but it's just hard for me not to actually look at the math and like not see like this doesn't look good to me. And I'm a novice, but I just feel like if you look at it, it seems to trend that way, personally.
It just seems like there's lots of just bad stuff going on.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like you can't sustain this. This is unsustainable.
Well, then even though if you look at the, a lot of people are like, oh, but the stock market. That's usually if you hear someone talking about how good everything is.
Oh yeah, they'll say too much.
They'll say the jobs report's doing really well and unemployment's really down, but they won't talk about how many people have dropped out of the workforce, or the fact that they take in consideration part-time employees is like working almost like full-time jobs.
That's the big thing that bugs me about this quote-unquote recovery is the part-time thing.
And low benefit paying jobs. Like
yeah,
it's part-time,
like they've created shitty jobs.
It's like everyone's working at Chili's now.
Yeah.
No one has benefits, and they're like, it's like the working now, like the middle class is being kind of pushed down into like, it's like you're barely scraping by, like that gray area between lower class and middle class. It's like,
yeah, it's kind of getting sucked up there.
The other thing is like, I mentioned inflation earlier. When we think about inflation, people are like, oh, inflation isn't that bad. It's, a couple percent, 1, 2, maybe 3%, 4% if you're
yeah,
a little
I think
further.
it's pretty.
But it's not 10, 15. But then you look at like what goes into inflation. So it's like the consumer price index and the producer price index, right? And they take into account like a lot of different products when they do the consumer price index. So it's like, looking at cars, computers, televisions, then also things like eggs, milk, chicken, like whatever. So when you look at food, and I don't know, I should have looked up the numbers, but food has been going up more dramatically, obviously. And as technology advances, like with TVs and electronics, they get cheaper, like you can get a 60-inch TV for a lot less money than you could 2 years ago. It might have been $6,000, now it's $2,000, whatever they are.
Right.
So they look at all those things, so it makes it seem like inflation's a little lower, and they also take into consideration how much families are spending on goods, right? And in America, a lot of people spend money on shit we really don't need still. But things that we do need, like food, the prices are going up a lot faster, but because we still spend stuff on stupid shit, that suppresses how much inflation is really out there, because also economies of scale, technology is getting cheaper, so there should also be some sort of component that makes up for that, but I don't think we do.
I think you're right.
So it really suppresses.
That's something I didn't think about, but that's a good point.
Because you need food. You do not need a new flat screen TV. You do not need a new car.
Yeah.
Those things are nice, but those are luxury items. And people are still doing it, but a lot of that, what's that perpetuated on? Debt. Credit card debt, car loans, whatever that is too, house loans, houses, all those things, they're getting cheaper, inflation's not that bad. It's everyone's taking on more debt to buy shit they don't need, and everything that we do need is going up in price pretty dramatically, and we're not acting like it really is.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope the situation gets better, but the drought in California might affect food prices. That's scary. And Texas was kind of dry for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking produce that comes from there.
If food prices go up because of that, market externality.
What are they going to do out there if that doesn't go away? Well, that's
the thing. They already steal. My friend from out there jokes we'll just steal our water from Arizona, we have been. I'm like, Arizona's dry too, buddy. I'm like, Arizona's a desert.
Well, the Colorado River does not have. If
I don't think that's enough to get the whole way to sustain a farming. They'll get the people the water.
But will they?
I don't know.
You're talking about so many millions of people.
I don't think we talked about Nestle last week.
Oh, how they're buying up all the water rights?
How people are pissed off at them because they're taking all the water out of California so they can sell it. And people are really upset about that. But there was a movement 2 years ago, because I was involved in these things where it's people were it's one of those things where you tell people, this isn't good, we shouldn't let Nestle do this. And people were just shut up. And now it's 2 years later, and I just kind of want to be fuck you guys for not paying attention.
They have been buying up water rights all over the world.
Yeah.
Water's going to become a huge cash maker eventually, and it's kind of scary, because then they also have states limiting people's ability to collect gray water, which is who the fuck are you that you can sell our water rights?
Yeah.
And then limit our ability to even collect water for ourselves?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
It's very.
I feel that's one of those things that might get a backlash where a different law or some different kind of rights will be established, like water rights.
I wonder just how much water we keep out of the system.
Mm-hmm.
How much water, we have a lot more people, right? So we have more people. We're made out of a lot of water, right?
Yeah.
And all the things that we need a lot of water. But then you think about bottled water became a thing. There's a lot more soda, juices, all these things that are in containers that are out of the because you have this water cycle, right?
Yeah.
And you think how much water we've pulled out of it for all of these things. That if we just were able to reduce that to a degree, what if we just all stopped drinking bottled water? We're let's bring back our own fucking water bottles.
Yeah.
I get some sometimes because it's just so fucking convenient. It's the cheapest thing you can get.
Right.
Quick.
I'm not perfect or anything. I don't like them, but there are the times where I have them. My work has them.
It's $3 for sugar water, or 99 cents for water. I'm something I don't know. I should have my own water bottle, but I don't.
Right.
It is stupid.
The plastic bothers me. So it's if you get one of those metal containers or something reusable, at least it's better. Because that's just waste. That plastic, it doesn't all wind up in landfills anymore. I guess some of it gets recycled, but there's a lot of people I noticed, especially when I moved back to Pennsylvania, recycling isn't as big as it was in California.
Yeah.
And it bugs the shit out of me. Why aren't you recycling?
Yeah.
And it makes me think about how many plastic bottles are just wound
I
up.
don't do a good job of recycling all the time.
I'm not trying to be judgmental. It just when you're used to something and then it goes away, you're just oh.
I sometimes I try to. I do recycle. I have a big recycling bin, but sometimes I throw shit out in the garbage. I'm oh.
Yeah.
I should be more cognizant of that.
I get it. I hate it.
No, it's good. It's good to put. I think it's good if we put more pressure on each other to all behave better. I think that's part of the thing about the PC police. We're too fucking nice to each other sometimes. Sometimes be no, you should stop doing that. Stop it. Behave better. And we're afraid to It's when you see someone driving down the street and they're just throwing cigarette butts out their car window.
That bugs me. It's death too.
What the fuck's where do you think that thing's going?
Yeah.
Even with that, it's shouldn't we come up with a better cigarette so there aren't those things left?
Yeah. The e-cigarette is big now, right? I don't smoke, but
you see a lot of those people with those vaporizer things. Yeah.
So what bugs me with cigarette butts, again, I'll go back to California, blah blah blah. Wildfires were a big thing out there. So
wildfires.
So people
they said qualifiers. I'm
my bad.
Qualifiers.
Yeah. So people are throwing stuff out of the window, and it's just Smokey the Bear told you not to do that. Now you're going to burn the city down. Well, not the city, but they're the forest is part of the city.
Especially now that they're in this fucking drought for 4 years,
Yeah, and when you read the fucking stories in the news after a wildfire, it's some asshole put a cigarette butt out.
Like, oh, cool, guy. Was it worth it? Was that a really tasty cigarette? Was that really delicious?
And if you're gonna smoke something good. Like, smoke something that doesn't have tar in it. Like, just smoke tobacco. Can I just say that?
Smoke just like a tobacco pipe.
Yeah. I don't like cigarettes because I just feel like all the junk they put in there, it's more addictive and cyanide and weird
they
shit.
put so many chemicals in it.
Yeah, just smoke tobacco. Smoke something natural.
Tobacco, smoke
It might still give you cancer, I don't know. But
dude, no one makes it out of this alive. As far as we know, no one makes it out with this body. Like, you do not make it out. I find that so funny. You're like, oh my god, he died.
yeah.
And you're like, especially when you, my sister was talking to me about, showed me this article about how old this one galaxy was that they looked at. Like, it was something like,
They found one of the oldest this week.
what was it, like 13, how many billions of years?
It can't be more than 13 billion, right?
I forget.
At least that's the approximate age of the universe, quote unquote.
It was something crazy though, like the amount of the light that took it.
It might be longer than that, but I did see that today.
Okay, well, I might be getting the number of billions, but it was billions of years that this light took to get here.
Yeah.
And the concept of thinking, well, who knows what's happened there now because that was 10 billion years ago, and you're like,
yeah.
and you're thinking
It
about
probably doesn't exist anymore.
Well, then you think about our lives and someone living to be 78, 98, whatever it is. That is a fucking flash in a fucking pan. Like,
It does
nothing.
It does not exist.
So like,
Like mathematically, it doesn't even. It's like not even a fraction.
Yeah, like, you're not even there. Like, you know when we laugh at like bugs die, like, oh, their
Yeah.
life's so short. It's like, so is yours.
You don't even know.
The trees are standing there like, yeah, you're fucking. We have short lives, and you guys, we live for hundreds of years.
We just stand here. You guys should just stand around more often.
Yeah, we just hang out in the breeze, take it easy.
Fucking man.
Hanging out.
Space trips me out when I think about it, because you think of just like the sheer size of it, and the whole idea of infinity. Now we're getting into a deep hiccup. We won't go too far into this.
Well, it's funny because you think about infinity going that way, but then I also think of infinity the inversely, that it also goes infinitely inwards and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Well,
Like, it goes both directions.
Are you familiar with that donut shape, the geometry shape that
Yeah,
people think this universe is?
Yeah, it's just like this.
I kind of feel like we look out, and as we get too far, we're actually looking in. So it's kind of like a loop.
Well, you look at that's interesting because you look at cell systems and all these different structures.
Yeah.
Like, you look at smaller and they look bigger, and they're very, very similar.
Yeah.
You like look at even our roadways, our natural progression of things, like how the patterns and things are very. It's very odd. The natural draw for us to do things. It's like
The natural order, if you will.
that we don't like to recognize, which then makes you sometimes question how sentient we are, because we like to think of ourselves as completely sentient beings.
Mm-hmm.
But then you like talk about like how your gut flora can influence the cravings that you have for certain food, which then make you go, how sentient are you if your gut's telling you, I need sugar right now, give me more sugar, motherfucker, and you're like, oh, I'm craving sugar. Because and then I don't know.
Well, Einstein even came up with a theory with everything. It's a theoretical formula. If you knew the placement of every molecule at one moment,
You could
and
understand
every
everything.
force applied to it, which is not calculable by humans, but everything could be predictable, is what he's saying.
I mean, that makes
Because
sense.
it would be a big chain reaction.
Which that's kind of like when you think about it, and then you think of like what we are, and the idea that we're light and energy,
Right.
and the idea of life and death is that we're observing ourselves as energy in one form, and it's freaking us the fuck out.
My brain's breaking.
Well, but it's just like us it's us recognizing what we are, but we have no idea what we are.
Right.
And it's like almost like a bubble recognizing it's a bubble, and it's like you're about to burst. Like,
Oh, shit.
People are bubbles. It's like, oh my god, how awesome I am! And it's like it's not like you go away. It's not like you're gone. You just become something else. And we are totally afraid to be like, yeah, you are going to be something else, and you're part of something different. It's like,
Oh shit, man.
no,
It's
I'm
deep.
special.
It's deep, man.
Is it deep, man?
It's fucking deep.
I don't know, bro.
It's very, very enlightening, I believe.
I don't think so.
I
feel
think
like
the two-person,
no one's listening.
the two-person,
I think usually people get 15 minutes in and they're like,
you know, the news, blah. But did we talk about the NSA at all? Did I talk about it at the beginning?
You talked about that off camera.
I thought so. I want to talk about the NSA and then move into a brief conspiracy.
This is pretty much right into conspiracy.
Yeah.
Should we just?
I don't want to go too long. We can go as long as we want, though. Fuck it. The big news of today was the NSA got ruled in the second District Court of Appeals that
Derek thinks this is going to change something.
Apparently I do. Collection of bulk phone calls is actually illegal.
Phone calls.
Yeah.
Because they're only collecting phone calls. It's like, it's just metadata. It's just metadata.
We all know now, because I just love the way the guys did this, because when they released the information in 2013, that's when this case was originated. It took 2 years to get to this point. It's funny because everyone would just be like, "Oh, it's just metadata," and then Edward Snowden and the guys would come out like 4 weeks later and be like, "No, they're actually doing this," and they're like, "Okay, you got us," but that's it. And then the next thing, and then like 4 weeks later, it'd be like, "Okay, you got us, but there's nothing else," and then like it's been going like that way.
Metadata, they can still connect like all the breadcrumbs and it gives you like a pretty good picture of your activities.
Oh yeah, and the stuff they look at in the phone calls you make says a lot about who you are.
Yeah, they still like know like what you bought, where you went, when you bought it, who you're talking to, how long you talked to them, what like.
Yeah, they can tell
what you're shopping
who's important in your life,
who you're talking
not,
to,
like what your trends are.
Well, they can see that.
I don't like the fact that they can probably. Well, no, they definitely can because we are kind of victims of our own creation because we will
loved it.
Join these like Amazon.com things and we'll like things.
Yeah.
And it'll basically pick things for us that we like.
Which you kind of like though, because some people are like, "Oh, advertising's bad," and it's like I'd rather them show me stuff I like than shit I really don't give a fuck about.
That's true.
It's like, do you want them to be like special on Barbies? Like, I don't give two fucks about Barbies.
Get this shit out of here.
2-for-1 Power Wheel special. Yeah, I'm buying fucking Power Wheels right now. Go fuck yourself.
No, it's very convenient. I just don't want the wrong hands to have it, but Amazon.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like people defend it like, oh no, but like who's going to break it? It's like, yeah, but you can't control who gets this power.
Right.
Like if this would turn into the wrong hands, you know how quickly you could find groups of people and fucking
do shit? Or,
single them out and be like, we need to find all the people that like the color blue and put them in concentration camp. I mean, that sounds ridiculous and stupid.
Ridiculous.
But that you could actually use that technology to find those people and figure out where they are live.
I always get weirded out by the whole, like, political dissident thing. Like, if you saw somebody who's creating a stir in the political world.
Round up all those Republicans. They're fucking stupid.
You can
put them in
that,
a cage.
Or you can, Democrats.
Put them in a cage.
Or socialists or social democrats or something like that. Or anarchists, but then for me it's like, oh, get the anarchists. I don't care.
No one really likes the anarchists.
Yeah.
Anarchy.
But
I don't know what it means, but I love it.
Yeah, I like to break shit.
Are we going into
conspiracy corner? It seems that around the world lately, a lot of First Amendment rights, or what we would consider First Amendment rights, have been kind of curtailed.
Why don't you refresh our studio audience?
Oh shit! I gotta pull up the article. Wow. I just know that in Europe, especially Italy, they were
the First Amendment means.
Oh, what the First Amendment means? You want me to read that?
No, I just was gonna say. For any of you that are confused on what the First Amendment is,
basically your freedom of speech and the right to assemble and
the right to have sex in public, right?
Well, I mean,
no, because you can go to jail for like 6 years in Florida.
6 years?
Did you hear about that?
For doing it? I saw people doing it at Penn State in public.
Dude, a couple got caught having sex in public down in Florida, and I think the guy's possibly going to go to jail for like 6 years. Up to 6 years or something crazy like that.
And we love pornography. How can you send somebody to jail for 6 years in America?
But anyways, back to Conspiracy Corner.
Halftime Papa! We're at the end of the show. But yeah, it was Italy I saw.
You just cut that in. Halftime Papa!
I cut that in wherever I want.
Yeah. And we're back.
I have that power. George Soros is a good guy. I love that dude. Yeah.
He's gonna throw me $1 billion rather than the government. He's like, here you go, Derek. Here's a bill.
Thanks, buddy. I listened to you on Whisky and Wifi.
You guys cracked me up with all those dick jokes.
In the ball inspection. So in Italy, they're passing laws to curb how and when you can.
Don't protest us.
Protest.
But give us all your money.
And there was an article I read this week saying it's a growing trend in a lot of the countries that have been not destabilized, but Greece.
A lot of the ones that are broke.
A lot of those Middle Eastern and Southern European and Northern African, that whole area. There's a lot of governments saying, you can only protest this way or that way, or when we say so. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And there's a lot of people starting the conspiracy boat. We're just like, why is this happening? Like, this is shady as shit.
And then you see, like, for example, down in Baltimore, some of these riots that are going on, there's peaceful people that are honestly just protesting and everything's cool. And then there's people that take it to a whole nother fucking level. And you sometimes wonder, are there ever...
Are you talking about plants?
Maybe
Man, they're planted in there?
provocateurs. They're just trying to like...
I don't know, man. When I was down there in the front lines, man, doing my thing with the Occupy thing, I feel like the word plant's there, man. You just have people, over there in the corner being like...
You don't mean house plants either, do you?
No, I don't mean house plants, man. I mean dirty motherfuckers.
You mean guys with fucking big black boots on, they're kicking...
Yeah, they're all like... We're gonna start shit just because.
Stormtrooper motherfuckers.
A lot of us would be just like, yo, dude, we're here about peace and like trying to create change. And he'd be like, fuck the police. I'm like, no.
Dude, next time you're in one of those situations, to calm them down, all you have to do is just start sucking them off.
Okay, that's one way.
Have you ever seen a guy that upset when someone's sucking on their dick? I think maybe they would be upset if it's a guy and he's straight and another man tries to start sucking on his dick.
That might start
make it worse.
That might start. I would talk to the females first about that.
Would someone please go
I just walk up and
like,
so we understand if you suck a dick, things get better. Are you cool with that?
Can you go suck his dick? Can you go calm the situation by giving that performing fellatio on that
free love,
hostile
man.
guy
Free love.
with the combat boots on? The guy with the combat boots?
Oh man,
really got carried away there.
There was one video I watched, and this is the only video I have to reference. This was about 2 years ago. Some Occupy people were marching on the Supreme Court. I think it was for a Citizen United related case. And they're doing a live stream, and somebody from the FBI or the police force or somebody turned. They were part of the crowd, and they turned and started arresting the crowd. So I know there's at least police presence in the crowd undercover. That's a fact. And I think that's kind of easy to understand because you want to crowd control. You do kind of want people on the inside.
Yeah, be like, yo, it's getting rowdy over here.
But there might be some people that don't realize that exists. And there is that kind of hysteria during bigger protests that I've been a part of, where you got to watch who's nearby because you don't know who to trust sometimes, and it gets kind of weird and shady and shit. And we're in America. I can't imagine what it's like in a country like in Northern Africa where those governments are really fucked up. And that
you might just disappear.
In Russia even. Like the fucking Pussy Riot 2 years ago and whatever happened to them.
Dude, look at Ukraine, man.
Right.
What was it? 11 something journalists have been found dead.
Holy hell!
Hey, enough.
So yeah, we didn't talk about the 11 journalists. We definitely need to bring that up.
Yeah, at least mention it. But I don't know the details. But apparently, over 11 journalists have been found dead, either suspicious suicide or murdered. In just the last couple months in Ukraine, and most of them were in opposition of the current president, who we helped put in there, who's some super rich business owner who has his hands in lots of different things.
Right. And that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we haven't really heard about it.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting story to me. Not that I'm saying like death is interesting, but if that's happening, I definitely want to know about it.
A bunch of journalists is like, what were they?
Why did that happen?
Yeah.
Because if journalists start dying,
trend.
That's
11.
That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment. You know what I mean?
Especially when we're like saying, oh, they're pro what? Like they're all democracy, and it's like freedom of speech is pretty key to democracy. And we're like shitting on Russia and saying that, and it's like that one guy who got killed in Russia. We made a huge stink of it.
Yeah.
Because he was a huge
opponent.
Yeah, to Putin. And we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a big story.
And then you find other people like murdered, shot in the head, like fucking hit style in Ukraine, and nothing. And it's kind of like,
oh, it's creepy as fuck.
It's definitely, but so it goes, right?
Man, I've honestly doing this show the last 11 weeks or so. We talk about all this crazy shit, and it has actually given me. This sounds bad to say because I've always loved America, but I have a nicer appreciation for America recently because I'm just like, it's relatively cool here right now. I mean, the economics are screwed up, but
there's lots of fucked up parts, but there's lots of great parts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. I love it here because you can do this, and most of the time you can even draw cartoons, and someone's not gonna be like, I'm gonna fucking come murder you.
Yeah, that sucked. Fuck. Well, we did a good show, I think, this week. Cheers to America.
Cheers to you, Derek.
Good job, Rodney. Peace out, everybody. Woo!
Yeah. I hate you.
You son of a bitch.